Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming for this month's edition of the Top Producer Interview, and excited to have Zdenka here with us today, which is awesome. And I know everybody in this room knows Zdenka, but for those that are watching this on YouTube that don't know, I'm going to give a little bit of a background and then just ask her to share a little bit of her story. So, just so everybody knows, Zdenka's been in business since 2004. She's been with Intero from the beginning, which is awesome.
Company I have ever worked for.
Which I love, and she went through Provisio. For the last 3 years, consecutive years, she's been in the President's Circle, all 3 of those years, which is awesome. And get this, and I don't even know if she knows this for sure, in the last 12 months, she's closed over 50 deals herself, just in the last 12 months, which is awesome, so good job. So I mean, obviously she's a great producer, and I'll tell you that, but the thing that I admire the most about Zdenka is she's just a total professional. She never seems rattled. She's, with all of that going on, some people I know can't manage 1 or 2 deals at a time. And imagine she's got 50 deals and has kids and a husband and a life outside of work as well, which I think she does a relatively decent job at trying to keep some balance in it, which is awesome. And so she brings her daughter Heidi, who's going to be the next top producer at Intero in Saratoga at some point.
That's right.
But she wants to be. But just really a great mom, and just very efficient in getting her stuff done. So just does an amazing job. So why don't we just start off with, just give us a little bit of background, even before real estate, like where'd you grow up, and then kind of just how'd you get to where we are today?
Yeah. So I'm from Europe, from the Eastern Bloc, from a country called Czechoslovakia. I'm from the less known Slovak Republic, and very nice childhood I wish for everyone to have. Very organic, very happy. So me growing up, real estate was non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
People basically lived, in their home, passed it on to children. I've never seen real estate sign until I came here to the United States, basically in 1999.
Okay.
So now things are changing, of course, there as well, but it was just simply a thing somebody said I should do.
So tell us what brought you to the United States in 1999?
I came here as an exchange student. My college at the time was the first college that had internet that was unlimited. So we grew up where Russian was the mandatory language, so we did not have English. But having the internet, we started to have fun as a college student, and we were chatting
right.
with people all over the world. And basically in about a span of 3 months, we were able to type fluently and speak fluently without us even really realizing that. So that sparked up my interest to see what else is out there, because the year before I graduated, I went back home and I realized my options were like this. So I felt just somewhere in me, I felt there was something else. There was a place where I could dream and achieve and be who I am. So there's nothing wrong with staying where you are, but basically it drove me here.
So when you came here in 1999, what did you do when you first got here?
Well, I was an exchange student, so I worked with the family. I babysat for a little extra money, took some classes, and met my husband, and then I had my daughter. Okay. So after I had my daughter, I was trying to figure out what I should do. And at that point, I have basically, somebody said real estate.
Right.
So it seemed to be challenging because at that time I was very insecure. My accent, everything about me just was insecure. So I did that. It felt accomplishing for me to be able to pass that test that so many failed and basically be able to, achieve that first point.
Right.
But then it came down to the fact that I have to do something with it. So I interviewed and I landed in Los Gatos with Brian Crane at Intero.
Cool.
So from there on, of course, I worked, I tried, I was 20.
So tell us about your, so you started with Brian, so tell us about your first 2 or 3 years, 1, 2, 3 years in the business. Like what were you doing, and how was business going, and what did you learn that worked, and what would you not do again, or would you tell a newer person or somebody struggling to avoid doing?
So for me, the biggest thing was really overcoming myself, because I always felt my accent was the biggest thing. People sometimes said, who Zdenka. It's a name that you just don't hear.
And I just call her ZZ Top, just so
yeah.
everybody knows.
So that's when my name got simplified to Z. So it was pretty much my husband that made that for me. And I had always a little bit of deals, but it was never perfect. It was, 2 or 3 a year for the first couple. And I just wasn't getting where I needed to. I tried door knocking, I tried cold calling, and it just wasn't bringing the results I was hoping for. So it came down to the fact that maybe this is not for you. And that's when I just stopped and I go, I don't fail. So I had to figure out what to do with my business and how to go about it. I didn't have a plan. I really wasn't coached. I just followed my instincts once again. So I changed office. Now I think it's important who your manager is, because how the office is led is something that could help you, but it could also not. So the way the Los Gatos felt to me that agents were put against one another to compete. Now once I changed over to Saratoga, it's spread out and everybody is kind of doing big deals. And nobody cares. So I think the best of everyone is brought up, and at that point I realized it's me against me. So what I did is I chose a farm, after all, and it was a farm where I felt at home. It was a farm that was more diverse, so I felt with my accent I wasn't as odd, and it was also demographic and age group that I could relate more to. So that's where I landed in downtown San Jose. So there's a lot of lofts and condos and newer homes that I kind of really liked. I liked the open spaces, I liked the sunsets. And for the longest time, I just basically defined the area, started to door knock. I got yelled at a lot because all of these buildings are closed. So technically you're not supposed to go in and put things in the doors or door knock. Got yelled at, put my head down, and worked again. Did it all over again, and now those people that were the most difficult happen to be the best allies that I could ever have in my farm. So another thing that's important is what overwhelmed me was the size of my farm. So I really started with only 53 homes, which is small amount, but I lived there pretty much. I got an open house that wasn't my listing, and instead of going to the office, I was there every day. My signs were up every morning, they were gone every evening. And I was doing that probably for about 3 months. Now when this home expired, because the market wasn't that good, I have eventually become the listing agent and got the home sold. Now by the end of about the next 3 months, I had every expired listing in the building. So that gave me a little bit of traction that I needed to feel confident. And also in between, I previewed like crazy. I have looked at every home that came on the market. I got to know every floor plan, every information on the HOA, building, neighborhood, you name it, I had it. Now on top of that, there were new buildings, new homes being sold by the developers. So I have gone there every week diligently, and I have made relationships with the sales reps. I got to know them. So when I brought my clients, they greeted me with my first name, and they basically gave me all the ins that others might not have, because they knew I knew the pricing, I knew the system, and it's one of the easiest transactions you might have because it's a referral fee.
Right.
So you bring them, you register them, you get paid. Very simple. So from then on, it basically, market continued going down, yet my business kept on going up. In some way, somewhat instinctively, I just adjusted with the market. So the value went down, I started to work the short sales, and it was a lot of work and a lot of devotion, phone calls and things to learn, and but it all worked and allowed me the time, the knowledge, and the expertise that's almost unmatched in my area. So. Cool.
So, obviously a lot of struggle just even getting here and getting in the business. I mean, it's like you went through all this fear that, again, I tell people I'm born and raised, around here, so it's hard for me to kind of like relate to that. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
I didn't have my friends from childhood. I didn't have my family. I didn't I didn't have any of that, so I had to go out there and create it. And, you know.
So what were some other just big struggles? I mean, obviously you had the struggles in the beginning and just gaining your confidence and all of that stuff. But then you've been, you know, cranking deals, you know, consistently now for a while, which is awesome and doing really good. And every year it's getting better and you're doing more and more and more. But were there struggles along the way, and kind of what were they and how'd you deal with those?
There always are, and there always will be. I just kind of learned to accept that. It's part of life, and you just have to, you know, learn to navigate and try to make them as the least stressful you possibly can. So being efficient is a huge thing. Me being a mom, I have 3 kids. Jake, my stepson, is 18. Heidi is 12 tomorrow. And Jake, my little love bug, is 2.5. So in between them, there is a lot of things that I have to do, but it also something that gives me back so much and drives me now that I can't even explain.
Right.
Heidi, my daughter, is a huge motivation for me. She skateboards, and she does these half pipes that are, if any of you have looked at one in real life and got a chance to stand on top and imagine you're dropping down vertical wall, and the practice that has to go into you being able to do that without falling is just incredible. And when I look at her and she drops in, it's amazing. And that is unbelievable to me. And I'm trying to build that into my kids, that they can dream. I have them create the vision boards just so they kind of can dream and think, which is something I didn't have, because my country, the post-communist countries, still have that thinking that everything is how it is, and, you know, dreaming is just not as free in their mind, because it's really all up here. It's what you want to make it, and they just don't know it.
Right.
So if I ever was fed with information that we get being in real estate, the stories, the coaching, you know, opening our minds, it's just incredible. And that's what drives me. That's what I use on a daily basis to just function, release my stress, and you know, come home. When I go to bed and I want to wake up always with light head, I don't want any stress, any complications. It's just down to, despite of any mistakes that we made, to get back on the track and be happy.
Well, you know, and the beautiful thing I love about you is you just never lose control. You never
I
seem
do.
to. She sometimes thinks she does, but compared to what I see, trust me, she doesn't lose control. You know, but I mean, when you're doing all of that, you know that we all know how crazy this business can be. And I mean, imagine, especially also being a mom with 3 kids. You know, I mean, and juggling all of this stuff. But just never, you know, I never hear her ranting and raving or yelling or screaming. And she's always, even when other people around her are out of control, she always kind of keeps her composure. And there's just such a calming force about that, which is just, which is awesome.
Thank you.
Which is awesome. So talk a little bit, you know, you talked about how you got started in that small complex that you were really kind of sitting at open houses every single day, which is a great idea if you're new. If you can find a listing like that you can just go work there instead of work here, because you're not going to sell anybody in this office a house. I think you're probably better off doing that. Now what kind of marketing things are you doing to kind of keep your bid? I mean, you're doing 50 deals a year. So you got a lot. I mean, just managing 50 deals is a lot. So how are you keeping your prospecting going? What kind of prospecting are you doing?
So my farm, of course, started small. So even up to today, believe it or not, it's about 350 homes. However,
all condominiums and townhouses, or are they?
Correct.
Okay.
So I just recently added another farm in my neighborhood, but it's not producing yet. However, this is where I get stuck, and I think many of us do. I hear some saying, I define farm, there is 2,000 homes. My head spins, because I know it's just too much. You can't walk that, you have to have a budget. And if you don't, you need to pick out street or 2 and just be there. And that's the best advice I could give to anyone. On top of it, when you do open houses in your farm, you have to do those and send the mailers, because that reinforces your presence there. Of course, doing the homework, make sure nobody's already has a strong presence in that area might speed up your time and you know, help you succeed faster, because it is difficult to find someone that's in a neighborhood and everybody's kind of aware of them being the professional in there. Now, another thing for me is the price range. I know a lot of people shoot for the high, listings, and I get it all the time. Your deals are small, this and that. I am a mom and I need an income. So for me, the price doesn't matter. It's about the consistency and, predictability. So with that being said, the amount supersedes the price, because at the end I might have to sell more, but I get there. And it gives me tremendous amount of experience. My transactions are across, it's not just in downtown. A lot of my sellers are moving up now. Another thing I've been doing, just showering with, thinking about, is listings and higher price range. And since I started to do that this year, pretty much because the market is improving, probably my average sale is like 700,000. Awesome. So I've gone from the mid threes significantly. So just probably focus, and if something isn't working, you need to make adjustments. Listen to yourself. It's something, there's too much friction for you to go that way. You gotta figure out something that creates a better flow for you. Because for me, picking up the phone and cold calling, despite of me trying, it just wasn't it. It was a fight. Door knocking, kind of the same way, but I did it, and once I got the little traction, I was able to let off on that and focus on the open houses, the mailers. And to be honest with you, by the end of the first year and till today, I know most of my sellers by a first name in my farm. They see me, they wave.
Most of the homeowners, not even your sellers, all the owners, right?
Homeowners, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important if you want strong presence, and that way you never have to worry about where your next paycheck is coming from. Yeah. And again, me having 3 kids and just health insurance comes up to $1,000 a month in this area. It's crucial.
Yeah. So tell us, so you got 3 kids, so tell us what a typical day in the life of Z is, or maybe even a typical week. Like, what time do you get up in the morning? And you got all the stuff going on. How do you, what's this a typical day look like? Or
well, I wake up, take a shower,
what time do you get
alone,
up in the morning?
sometimes with Johnny.
What time do you get up in the morning?
Usually the kids get up to go to school at 8, so 6:30 I get up, get ready. So by the time they are out of the house at 8, I'm usually on my way right after I kiss them goodbye.
Right.
And then I'm here. I don't have a partner. I don't have transaction coordination, no assistant. So it's a lot of tightly packed day where you really have to make a choice on what the priorities are and how you're gonna juggle everything that you have. Because in between there's always those homeowners that wanna rent out the home and they want this and that, and you wanna be there for them. You wanna be there immediately because that's the age we live in. When they reach out to you, you wanna be able to respond fast. Because if you don't reach out back, they'll go elsewhere. So usually in the morning I catch up with my paperwork, which now my daughter actually is very good in the document manager.
Yeah, so that's funny. So Heidi, 12-year-old, uploads most of her documents to Doc Manager for her. He does all the Doc Manager stuff.
My husband does the signs, the flyers, fixes things that don't require client face-to-face time. And my goal in the future is, of course, to build a sustainable, trustworthy relationship, and a team, because there's limit to all of us. And I think I'm close to it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But so the first thing is just getting the necessities out of the way. I always try to define a portion of my day, even if it's half an hour, to respond to a couple of emails or reach out to my past clients or do what you're saying about the text messages, because there's always thought in my head, where's the next deal coming from? And you never let your mind go to the point where I got a deal, I gotta close it, now what? There's always gotta be the next one. There's gotta be a continuous stream in your mind that doesn't let you emotionally just focus on that one, because then you're gonna have another 3-month lapse and it's just not good. So the best stress relief is really having consistent, predictable business.
And then what do you do in the afternoons after you do your mornings yourself?
Usually schedule meetings, appointments, because that's when people are available. I do use a lot of DocuSign. Without that, I don't know where I would be, because it streamlines things. That way I'm able to write 2-3 contracts a day without spending 2 hours driving each direction and, chit-chat with a client for 2 hours in between.
What time do you go to bed at night?
I like my sleep, my beauty sleep, so probably usually by 10
You're like
we're in
me.
bed.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Just because I'm a big email guy. I like
Yeah.
do you get through all your emails every day?
Well, I try. I'm not as good as you are with Zero, but I do try to.
I know I never send you an email, and
Yeah.
you always get back to me within like 10 minutes.
And I do, because, like Kelly, you guys know how awesome she is. If you let things pile up on you, it's bad.
Yeah.
It weighs you down. It backs you up. When Kim was here, she mentioned one of the important things is when you get a listing or sale, do the paperwork up front. It leaves you free for the rest of the time, and that way you can let your mind go and say, okay, this listing, I'm gonna get another sale from this, or I am gonna get another listing from this. You're not backed up and running around just trying to figure out how the document manager works.
Right.
On your first deal, when you should be turning it to Linda for closing.
Awesome. So just any specific questions from anybody in the group that you guys want to ask of Z? Anybody? Yes. And I'm gonna re-ask the questions so we're mic'd up.
When was the last time you had vacation?
Yeah, so
I
Jen
always take
asked when's the last time she had vacation.
I tried a little mini vacation. A couple weeks ago, we went to Pismo. My kids like to. Heidi rides.
Yeah.
She races little quarter midgets. So we do that. We have weekends where I take off because I have to be there and watch her racing. We went to Pismo just for dirt biking. I do little ones, and typically at least once a year. Like right now, I usually schedule summer off. So because I'm from Europe, it's very important for me that I go there or I get my family over here. That is another price tag that was driving me to make some money, because the average income for my mom working is about 300 euros.
Which comes out to what?
So I don't know, what is it,
Probably
$450?
Yeah.
Now, my country is wonderful. It's not a third world. They get everything that we have. It's just much more expensive, and in a way, I don't know, hopefully they will catch up at some point with the prices. They just don't get paid as much. And it's more people grow their own vegetables. It's more down to earth and family oriented. But I do that with my family. They are important to me, very important. I have 2 sisters, my mom and dad, so I fly them here. And
So are they flying here this year, or are you flying there this year?
They're flying here this year, probably in July.
For how long?
And for about a month. Always a month, because first week you got to adjust the time difference. There's 9-hour difference. And by the time you're done, you just wish you had another month.
So when they come here for a month, just because she's doing 50 deals, right? So they're going to be here for a month. Are you going to? Do you pretty much take almost the whole month off, or do you just kind of work bits and pieces, or how do you manage through that?
No, the DocuSign. I mean, you gotta set yourself up so you can have fun and still do some business, because once you clear it all and you have none, it gets so much more energy for you to restart it again.
Yeah.
So I still do. I never without a transaction.
Right.
It's just maybe I pull back on my marketing a little bit, or I'm not as aggressive in pursuing my leads. Right now, the buyers, it's difficult. So if I want to take time off, I will focus on the listings, because they are a little bit easier to time manage than look at 400 homes before you get succeed, in getting a contract.
Cool. Other questions? Anybody else have another question for Z?
Buyer's agent.
That's my goal. Like I said, goal is to have a team that's, that works for you and is committed. And the problem I have is me letting go. I'm kind of a control freak. So I really think the best way I can do anything is by me doing it myself. So I have to learn to delegate. I'm not perfect, but I have accepted that there's always a way to grow. You have to learn to balance things. That's the biggest thing. And until I get there, I will get there. I just have to be ready for it.
That's awesome.
So.
Any other questions from anybody else? Well, let's give. Oh, go ahead, Doug.
Just a
Hold on one
comment,
second.
watching how she works, because of her farm and the price range and that sort of thing, and the age that they were, she got caught in the short sale fiasco, but did such a good job with it. But her business is now built from that to where she gets tons of
Yeah.
referrals in all other areas to do short sales.
You have to always take the bad and turn it into good. That's the thing. Being positive, around positive people, and try to encourage them to see it that way, helps. And now my people that short sold are buying.
Yeah, well, here's I get, of course, in my job you get to see pretty much everything. One thing I tell you, very rarely do I have clients wait in the lobby to meet with me to tell me how great one of our agents is. And that's happened to me numerous times with Z, where her clients literally will sit in the lobby and wait. I'm in a meeting with somebody else for 15 or 20 minutes because they just specifically want to come up to me and tell me, you just have one of the most amazing agents working for you, and you're so fortunate to have her at Intero. And I couldn't agree more. Let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you so much.